Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, I'm going to be showcasing some Clodsire gameplay in the Go Battle League. It's a pick that I really wish was a little bit better than it is right now, but being weak to the main trio of Pokemon in the Go Battle League is kind of rough. You know, the Skarmory, Whiscash, and Gligar, it's very weak into all three of those, but aside from those matchups, it does have quite a bit of play into the meta. Let's take a look at some battles and see what Clodsire can do. Alright, getting into game number 1 here, we're going to see our Clodsire lead off into a Skarmory. So this lead matchup is bad on its own, but it's also bad because of what we have to think about would be in the back. Clodsire knows that there's probably a Whiscash in the back with a Skarmory, so we'd rather just stay in this lead matchup here, play it out, rather than being in a much worse matchup later on. We can win the Zero Shield matchup if they don't throw a Brave Bird, so that's what I'm kind of hoping for right now, that I can get to the 3 Stone Edges, but they make a mistake and try to double Sky Attack me and get a little bit greedy. As you can see, the Sky Attack does do a decent amount of damage, but it's not going to take us in range where another one's going to knock us out before we get to this 3rd Stone Edge. We reach our 2nd one here, and we're getting close to the next Stone Edge. Are they going to Brave Bird us, or are they going to throw the Sky Attack? I'm hoping that they make the mistake and that they throw the Sky Attack here. But they're smart, they throw the Brave Bird, and this is an awkward farm down. They have a lot of energy left over here, so they're going to get a move on either my Mandibuzz or on my Feraligatr. I'm going to have to absorb energy somewhere, so I choose to absorb it on my Mandibuzz. I know that the backline, things like Gligar, like Annihilate, like as I was saying, Whiscash, all of those things are very likely in the back here with a Skarmory lead. So having energy on both Mandibuzz and Feraligatr should put us in a decent spot for the endgame. They come in with an Annihilate here, because obviously they don't want to bring Annihilate into my Mandibuzz, but that means it's almost certainly going to be that Whiscash in the back. We're going to try to take shields from this. I know that this Annihilate does not want to shield in this matchup because there's a Mandibuzz in the back, but they end up CMPing me. My attack-weighted Feraligatr kind of coming in handy here, winning me that CMP, making them waste some energy, and getting both shields from a Pokemon that very likely would not want to shield against this, knowing that I have a Mandibuzz in the back. They do a nice undercharge, though. They get a bit of their energy back and make a nice catch here on their Whiscash. So if it's a Shadow Whiscash, this is probably a pretty easy game to win, but it's a non-Shadow, which means that we're in range where a Scald probably would almost knock us out or put us into farm down range for that Annihilate. I'm going to try my best to spam out these Dark Pulses. As long as they don't get a Scald debuff, the next Dark Pulse will put them into farm down range for our Snarls. But if they do get this debuff, then I know I need to get to 2 more Aerial Aces, 1 more for this Whiscash, and then 1 for that Annihilate. A debuff does come through, so now I need to hope that I can get to these next Aerial Aces. Dark Pulse is going to come through. Their Annihilate is almost at a Shadow Ball as well. They're 1 counter off the Shadow Ball. Now that I'm shields down, I'm in such a precarious spot here where I'm really losing a lot of my health here. They get the Shadow Ball off, and I know that I need to get 1 more Snarl of energy here if I want to outpace that Whiscash before they can get to a Mud Bomb against my Mandibuzz. And I'm also almost in range now of getting Mud Shot down by that Whiscash. I need to survive 3 Mud Shots, and I need them not to be at their Mud Bomb right now. And it looks like I get my Aerial Ace off basically as close of an endgame as it gets. We get the Aerial Ace here on 1 HP, knock out the Whiscash, and take the game. Let's go. The Clodsire that game honestly had almost no play. Sometimes you have to know when to sack it if you're using it, and that is a match where it had almost no play. And speaking about spots where you might want to be, this is a much better spot for our Clodsire. Last game it had almost no play. This game, though, it's looking pretty good. They're staying in with Spark Lanturn into Clodsire. It's a very threatening Pokemon for our backline, so being able to see them stay in there, at least for a minute, was pretty nice. They swap into Mandibuzz. We don't have a hard answer to this, though, but we can just chip it with our Stone Edge and try our very best here to knock them out with just Aerial Ace damage on our Mandibuzz. We attempt to catch on the Dark Pulse. If we got it, then that's going to waste a lot of energy from them, and we do get the catch off. We're going to try to go for Aerial Aces of our own, and thankfully they top left. That would have been a long and drawn-out matchup. They end up quitting, so we don't have to worry about that. Getting into the next matchup, we're going to see our Clodsire lead into a Registeel. This is another fantastic matchup. This is about as bad of a matchup for a Registeel as you could be in. Reggie has almost no pressure into Clodsire. We see the Sableye safe swap. Sableye is a bit of a relic of the past, right? This is a purified Sableye, though, so they're probably not running Power Gem. And since they're not Shadow as well, they're not doing that much damage to us. We can 2-shot them with Dark Pulse, and we're going to try our best to keep Switch Advantage, keep our Feraligatr off that Registeel, and keep our Clodsire on it to wall all of their energy. We also know that because of how strong of a matchup we have with our Clodsire, their Registeel is really going to want to try to flip Switch. They're going to shield once. They're going to try their best to snipe down Switch Advantage by returning me here. Even a bait wouldn't do it, right? We can get to the Dark Pulses. We're going to outpace them. They just go straight for the return. So at this point, Switch Advantage is ours. Even if they want to invest in their shield, there's not much they can do. The Dark Pulse is going to come through, and they don't shield it, and Registeel is going to come back in. Now, see, this Registeel has 2 choices here. Either they can expend a ton of energy against my Mandibuzz and knock me out without taking too many Dark Pulses here, or they can try to go for a lock-on down. It's an ambitious play. Mandibuzz has a lot of HP. And lock-ons, they only do 1 damage per turn here. So while they might be able to get the lock-on down, it's a very risky play, and Mandibuzz is so spammy. We're already at our 3rd Dark Pulse. This Registeel is almost knocked out just from our Mandibuzz, a pick that's supposed to be weak to Reggie. Can we get to this Aerial Ace as well? We do. So we get not only the 3 Dark Pulses here, we get the Aerial Ace to knock out this Registeel, and our Clodsire plus Feraligatr is going to have to deal with whatever the 3rd Pokemon is. It's a Feraligatr of their own. While this is generally a pretty awkward matchup for my team, I don't have a hard answer to Feraligatr. What we can do is we can absorb a Hydro Cannon here because of how bulky Clodsire is, and then try our best to Earthquake it, take a shield, or do a ton of damage, and finish the game off with our own Shadow Feraligatr. Clodsire is going to throw the Earthquake, they end up shielding it, and our own Shadow Feraligatr is going to come in. We don't have Crunch on this, so we're going to throw the Hydro instead. Hydro is still going to do a sizable amount of damage. It'll put them into Shadow Claw range easily, and we're just going to have to see how they play it out. Are they going to try to throw a move and have a desperation play here? It looks like they are, but that Shadow Claw that we just snuck through should be enough to knock them out and take us the game here into the Registeel lead. Alright, great stuff. Shadow Feraligatr proving why it's still a good pick and a great pairing with Clodsire. Alright, next matchup, another fantastic lead here. We saw the Lanturn, we saw the Registeel as well, now we're seeing the Charjabug, but they have a very safe save swap into us. Azu is a pick that's kind of hard for this team to deal with. We have Feraligatr that does alright into it, but it's not necessarily a hard check. We're going to try to chip this down and try to catch a move on our Gator. They don't end up throwing a move though, so I know this is probably going to be a play rough here. I'll still no-shield it, I know I can survive 1, and I guess they go for a bait, they Ice Beam me. This Ice Beam bait almost makes me wonder though, are they running Hydro Pump instead? We'll shield the next one, because even if it's a Hydro Pump or a play rough, that would knock us out, but I guess it's just another Ice Beam. They probably do have a Hydro Pump, though, with the way that they're playing this matchup out, so I want to be very careful that I don't happen to just let my Feraligatr go down. If we can get the Shadow Claw down here, we're going to be in a good spot either way, but they do throw a move here. We know that this was only after 5, so that's going to be another Ice Beam. We have a ton of energy. If they come back in with that Charjabug, we should be able to survive a Volt Switch here, and then get off 2 Hydro Cannons, which will either get the knockout or take their next shield. We'll see what they do. They actually try to snipe me down with a Superior. This is a fantastic thing to see, though. We have our Clodsire still for that Charjabug, and we have a Mandibuzz for the Superior. Not exactly a very high skill game here. It was more RPS than anything, but we are able to take the win nonetheless. Alright, getting into the next matchup, we're going to see our Clodsire into yet another Charjabug. Charjabug has almost nowhere to go here against my Clodsire, but it would be very good into my backline, so I want to keep Switch if I can. They safe swap the Shadow Quagsire, though. Shadow Quagsire has a lot of play into my full team. I don't have anything that resists both water and rock-type moves, so we're going to try to neutralize this with our Mandibuzz. We shield up a Stone Edge properly, which is nice to see. Stone Edge is either going to do a ton of your health, or they're going to bait you with Aqua Tail, and this matchup can get very awkward. They do get to another Stone Edge here, but at this point landing that Dark Pulse and, properly shielding 1 Stone Edge puts me into a range where I know I can dictate Switch advantage here. There's no way they can flip it unless they really try to do some weird double bait shenanigans with their Aqua Tail. We see the Charjabug come back in, and although I'm not super worried about this Charjabug, I am worried about being down shields and what potentially could be in the back. Our Mandibuzz is going to try its best to chip down this Charjabug. We get to yet another move here, which will put them in range where our Feraligatr could maybe Shadow Claw them down, or where we can Mudshot them down with our Clodsire. They come in with a Dugong. Our team doesn't have a hard answer to Dugong as well. I'm seeing a bit of a trend here. A lot of the water types are a little bit tricky for this team. We're going to Stone Edge it, take a shield, and then our Shadow Gator is going to come in and try its best to take out this Dugong. This is a decent matchup here for our Gator. We're going to shield the Drill Run properly. If that was an Icy Wind bait, that would be pretty savage, but it would have put in a lot of work in this matchup, making it so we do a lot less damage with our Shadow Claws and our Hydro Cannons. Luckily, Hydro, even though it's a little bit resisted there, it doesn't look like it. We're going to be able to chip it down pretty low, and they're going to have to start shielding this move if they want to be able to come out of this with any sort of health for our Clodsire. And they are going to make a very nice play here, though. They make a combo play, they swap back into Charjabug, and I know that they have energy left over on their Dugong. Now I know what my play is going to have to be. I know for sure I have to farm this down and have a Stone Edge coming out of this to be able to knock out that Dugong. If they get to 3 X-Scissors here, I'm going to lose this game, because I would be in range where Icy Wind or Drill Run would be able to knock me out. But if they don't get another X-Scissor, if I can get the Mudshot down before they get to another move, then we win this game. We just barely do. We get the Mudshot down. We have the Stone Edge. A Drill Run is the proper play here. It does more raw damage than an Icy Wind, but I think we still survive it. We do, honestly, pretty comfortably, all things considered. And we get the Stone Edge off, taking out the Dugong, and barely able to secure that game on a lead that was very good for us, but the backline was super awkward to try to deal with. Alright, next matchup here, we're going to see our Clodsire lead into a Whimsicott. We don't have any poison-type damage, but we resist a lot of the moves a Whimsicott would throw at us, so we're still in a pretty good spot there. The Shadow Feraligatr comes in. I don't really have a hard answer to this. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but Shadow Feraligatr, water types in general, are very tricky to deal with this team, but we have our Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is going to be able to neutralize any sort of Feraligatr that doesn't actually have Ice Beam. This one just threw a Hydro Cannon immediately, which makes me think either they don't have it, or they didn't want to bait it at first. We know we can survive another Hydro, but it would put us pretty low where we might get Shadow Clawed down. We're going to throw our moves as soon as we can, though. We want to keep switch if possible, and try to win the game here with our Clodsire and our Feraligatr in the back. They just let the switch advantage go. They don't even fight for it. If the Whimsicott comes back in, we should be able to get to an Aerial Ace and chip it down even further. They make a nice catch. That looks like it was a Lanturn that came in. Unfortunately, we weren't knocked out by this move, so I'm going to be able to see if it's Water Gun or Spark and make a decision from there. Looks like it's Water Gun. So even though our Feraligatr, it's a water type being brought into a Lanturn, that's normally a crazy thing to do. We resist their fast move pressure. We have neutral fast move pressure of our own, and we can just start spamming out these Hydro Cannons. Hydro is resisted, but it does so much of their health that honestly, at this point, this Lanturn's not even that big of a problem for us. We're going to farm up as much as we can here. They throw a Surf, nice bait, but we can get to double Hydro Cannons before they can get to their bait plus a nuke and be able to take both shields. If they shield this twice, my Clodsire just sweeps the backline. They don't even shield at all, so I'm going to start spamming out Hydro Cannons against this Whimsicott. Again, since we don't have Sludge Bomb or any sort of poison-type damage, we would need 2 moves on our Clodsire anyway to take out this Whimsicott, so I might as well just get the damage here. I can save some of our health on our Clodsire, make it so I don't take anywhere near as much fast move pressure from this Whimsicott, not that they would be doing much to me anyway, but just chip this down with our Feraligatr, make it so they only have 1 shield left, make it so I only have to get to 2 Stone Edges rather than like 4 with my Clodsire, and I should be able to take the game here just by spamming out the moves with our Clodsire. We need to get to back-to-back moves here, so no reason to throw too early. We have our Stone Edge number 1, and I know for sure I could survive 3 Seed Bombs. We saw Seed Bomb, they are not running Grass Knot, and so it's just kind of going to see like how much damage does this do, right? They throw a Moonblast at me, actually. Moonblast does do more raw damage in this matchup than a Seed Bomb would, so I guess technically it's more damage there than a Seed Bomb would have done. But yeah, that game was over. There's no way Whimsicott is going to be able to take out the Poison type like this, and we can take the win in that match. Clodsire is going to be led in the next game into an Azumarill, another very tricky lead. I don't think that we have a lot into Azu here. We don't have a lot of play, but we can have some neutral pressure here with our Clodsire, then an Earthquake, hopefully make a catch on our Feraligatr, and chip this thing down later on. Earthquake's going to come through. It doesn't do that much damage because Clodsire is a very bulky Pokemon. Luckily, though, we make a nice catch here on our Feraligatr, either a Hydro Pump or an Ice Beam coming through. Fortunately, just an Ice Beam, so we take much less damage than we would otherwise, and they come in here with a Spark Lanturn. This is an ABA water team. They would just lose instantly to a Shadow Victory Bell lead. So instantly I'm thinking maybe there's a Flyer in the back, maybe there's an Ice type of some sort. Hopefully there's something that I'd be able to have play into with my Mandibuzz. The next Hydra is going to come through. It's not going to knock them out, but you can see how much less damage these Sparks are doing to me. I was able to put in a ton of work into this Lanturn with my Feraligatr, which in the past was a very bad matchup, right? Now it's just a pretty bad matchup. We can try to absorb energy with our Clodsire, but 2 Surfs would knock us out. I'm going to farm this down, shield once, and hope that they don't get to this 3rd Surf. They shouldn't. We should get the Mudshot down and have energy to throw into that Azu if it comes back in. The Azu does come back in, and we get the Earthquake off. It's not in range where this would knock out, though, so it's still a tricky matchup. Our Mandibuzz is in a precarious position here. Hopefully we can get the Stone Edge off. They do overfarm a little bit here, so we get the Stone Edge. It'll probably take a shield from them. And at this point, I guess we just try to invest what we can into our Mandibuzz. They swap out with a ton of energy on their Azu into a Frostlass. We get the Stone Edge last second before getting fast move down. We can swap into our Mandibuzz and hope that we can get the knockout before they get to an Avalanche here against our Mandibuzz. Dark Pulse is a strong move, but Mandibuzz is a very bulky Pokemon. I don't know if we can get to the Dark Pulse and snarl them down before they get to their Avalanche. It's going to be very close. We'll have to see how much this does. It's going to be close. Are we going to get the farm down here? We just barely do. With the Azu, though, Azu still has a ton of energy, right? They stored basically 100 energy before they swapped out to Frostlass. Aerial Ace number 1 coming through. Doesn't quite get the knockout, but I think we survive a move here, and we can get a fast move farm down. If we get knocked out by the next move from this thing, we can still Mudshot down, but we can just Snarl down, actually, with our Mandibuzz. Take the win there on a very uncomfortable matchup. Alright, next matchup here. We're ABA weak to Ice types, but this is probably one of the better ones to see, just because Clodsire actually has quite a bit of pressure with Mudshot and Stone Edge and Earthquake. you kind of have to bait Stone Edge in this matchup if you don't want to get super heavily outpaced. So that's what I'm going to do here if I can. The first Ice Punch lands. It's not going to do that much damage, all things considered, right? That's a super effective Ice Punch, but we're still healthily in the yellow. First Stone Edge is going to come through. Are they going to shield? Are they going to no shield? Looks like they fall for the bait there, luckily. And we're going to try to shield this and win the 2-shield matchup if we can. We can also try to watch for a catch if they try to, because some Aegislash users like to try to bait things out in the back. Looks like that was actually what was going to happen here. They tried to catch an Earthquake, we saw it happening, and we throw the Stone Edge instead. I can survive an Air Release from this range, so I might as well throw the second Stone Edge. I don't have a hard answer to Mantine, so either taking this thing out here or taking a shield will put us in a very advantageous spot. Mandibuzz can absorb energy, though, if this is not running Ice Beam, so we're going to hope that they aren't running it. If this is a Water Pulse Mantine, we're probably going to see that here. Well, I guess they Air Release us, so it's probably going to still be a Water Pulse Mantine. They're just trying to bait us and get a shield earlier on. But what move comes through? It is a Water Pulse, so we aren't going to be taking super effective damage from Ice Beam or anything like that. Snarls and Dark Pulses should be able to knock this out, and come out with enough energy where we can throw a move into that Aegislash. Aegislash cannot fast move us down. It has Shadow Claw, obviously, so they have no fast move pressure into Dark types. They'll have to throw an Ice Punch to knock us out, and Shield Advantage on Shadow Feraligatr in the back I think is going to be very strong for us. We're going to let this go. Mandibuzz has done its job. It could be an Azu. I don't want to end up shielding this if it is an Azu in the back, and our Shadow Feraligatr comes in, and they just top left. So, maybe something like an Annihilate in the back, something that we could just instantly win. But GG's for our opponent. Next matchup here is going to be another awkward lead. We have Clodsire into Feraligatr. We don't have a hard answer to this. We also don't want to swap in our Feraligatr down energy or down shields, so I'm going to just kind of sack my Clodsire against this Feraligatr in the lead. We can probably take a shield if we go for Earthquake, and I know for sure I can survive a Hydro Cannon from full, so we're going to hopefully get a shield from this. They do end up shielding that. We can safe swap into our own Shadow Gator, and hopefully they aren't going to have a hard answer to this. The first move comes through. We know we can survive a Hydro pretty easily, but it is going to put us down lower than I'd like to be. They're staying in this matchup, so that means they're not going to have a hard answer to our Gator, and hopefully we're going to have maybe some more play in the back with our Clodsire, and maybe our Mandibuzz is going to have play too. But since they're staying in this matchup, I'm inclined to just shield this, try to leverage our Gator as much as we can here, and see what comes in. Looks like it's going to be the Annihilate. This is a tricky pick to see because some Annihilates I've been seeing have been running Ice Punch, especially ones in the back like this. I hope this one isn't running Ice Punch, but if it is, then our Mandibuzz is going to be chipped down way further than I'd like it to be. Or what moveset are they running? It's going to be, yeah, there it is, the Ice Punch Annihilate. Unfortunately, instead of being able to absorb all the energy and have a lot of our Mandibuzz coming out of this matchup, we're basically going to be knocked out here and be in a situation where our Clodsire, who's only like 40% HP, is going to try its best to sweep whatever the backline is going to be. Ice Punch number 2 is going to come out. We'll survive this, but it's going to put us down so low to the point where, honestly, it's looking rough for us. Air Release should knock out their Annihilate here. I'm hoping that they come back in with their Feraligatr so I can knock it out so our Clodsire doesn't have to try to deal with it. What do they come in with? Looks like it is going to be the Gator that comes back in. We can get to the Air Release before they get a Shadow Claw down, which is very nice to see. And we're just going to have to swap to our Clodsire and hope that whatever the final pick is weak to it. I wouldn't call that something that's weak to Clodsire. That's just another Clodsire. But we have the shield advantage. We have a bit of energy from that lead matchup. So if we can get to these 2 Earthquakes here, we can knock them out. What are they going to do, though? If they throw the bait and then they can get to the Earthquake, I know that I just instantly lose the game. I have to call a Stone Edge, which I do. Stone Edge doesn't knock us out, but we are so low right here. We are almost in range of getting Mudshot down. We have the Earthquake right now. As long as this does not shield KO us, we should have the win. We get the Earthquake off. We take the win against the Feraligatr lead. A very tricky matchup, a very hard opponent to try to face, but somehow Clodsire overcame all odds and took out the opposing Clodsire. Alright, our next lead, another awkward one, right? We don't see this Pokemon too often in the Great League. Hypno, I don't know what to do against this. I just safe swap to my Feraligatr here. I get a move off, and I get a lot of Shadow Claw damage, so I'll probably get a shield from this. And are they going to stay in it and throw a move, or are they going to swap out? Looks like they swapped to a Toxapex, a very interesting team from our opponents so far. This is a bit of an awkward matchup for our Feraligatr, because we don't have anything but resisted charge attacks to throw into this thing. So we're going to try our best to spam out moves, maybe put them in range of Mudshot down. And that Hypno is a very scary Pokemon to try to deal with our Clodsire. One of the few things with a lot of super effective fast move pressure into a Clodsire. Brines are super effective here. Luckily, though, Toxapex and Clodsire are both incredibly bulky Pokemon, and Brine's not a great move. So even though that's super effective, that barely does 25% of my health. I know I can survive 2 more, and maybe get enough energy to come out of this matchup and deal with that Hypno using my Clodsire. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like I can get the Mud Shot down before they get to another move. And I'm just going to try to tank this, farm them down still, and do something with my Clodsire this game. They come back in with their Hypno. Are they going to shield this move, or are they going to let it go? No shield would do so much damage to them. We actually get a second shield. They double shield their Hypno this game, which is great for me. I have a Mandibuzz in the back, and Mandibuzz should have a lot of play here. There's a chance that it's a hard answer to Dark types in the back, though, because, like, so far, what have we seen? We've seen a Hypno, and we've seen a Toxapex. So both things that have a lot of play, or that are very weak, rather, into Dark types for the most part. Toxapex has a lot of neutral play there, but it's not exactly a hard answer. We're going to hope right now that it's something that our Mandibuzz isn't just hard-walled by, and that's a Lickitung. This matchup is good normally, but we are down health. We are in range where probably 2 Body Slams would knock us out. We have to spam out moves and hope that they don't catch on us. A catch would probably just instantly lose us the game, and 3 Dark Pulses, it'll be close if that's enough to knocking out, but if it is, you know, they could still potentially catch on us here. The next Dark Pulse comes on through. We have to shield up a Body Slam, which really sucks for a Mandibuzz to have to do. Yeah, that next Dark Pulse is not going to be enough to knock them out, so we're going to have to try to go for Aerial Aces here to win this game. We can reach the 2 Aerial Aces before they reach their next Body Slam here. The first one coming through, is it going to be enough to put them in range where the next one will knock out? It's going to be close. I can probably snarl them down, though. They don't make the catch, so we do get this move off. They're not at the Body Slam just yet. They don't have any energy on their Toxapex either, so we try to snarl them down. It looks like we could. They top left, and we take the game on the Hypno lead. So Clodsire, I know it's a bit of an unsafe pick right now to use in the Go Battle League, right? There's the water types, there's ground types, there's the Skarmories out there as well that just kind of wall you. But it does have play, right? It has play even into some of the matchups that aren't necessarily that great for it. It's just so bulky that it's able to try to brute force its way through a lot of those less strong matchups. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching today's video. I stream Pokemon Go PvP nearly every day at twitch.tv/itsaxon if you want to see this kind of content live. And also, I'm going to be posting a ton more videos here on the YouTube channel, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see more. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and goodbye.